Warning: the following contains explicit language and subject matter that may not be suitable for younger listeners, church folk, and people who enjoy kale smoothies.
I had one where I hit record and it on Zoom, and a little thing that says record on cloud or record on this computer, and I didn't click one of them. I didn't realize it was like one of the first ones I did, so it actually didn't record any of the video. And if it wasn't for the fact that I had asked the guys to record the track, then I wouldn't have had anything. I would have done like an hour and a half interview with nothing.
It's like Ryan Davis.
We try to have at least 2 or 3 of us record it just in case.
That happened at the Stress Factory before, and also back in the day at Radio with me. A lot of times when I first start now.
I hate that shit. But like I said, that happened to us when we first did this.
Yeah.
So now that's running. It's got its own power source. This is all plugged in and running. I'm not fucking taking any chances anymore. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to A Pod Amongst Men. I'm your host, Steve B., and this is Coffee Break Conversations for the 21st century. I really need to slow down my speech because I talk way too fast. That's the Jersey in me. I'm joined today by returning guests, Mike Sweeney.
Yo, what's up?
Yeah, real timid there. And Tom Zappia.
Hello.
So these are 2/3 of Keep It Basement podcast. You guys know them. They've been here before. Thanks for coming, guys.
Thanks for having us again.
My
Third time,
pleasure.
I think.
Yeah, for you, this is the third time.
Yeah, third,
Might be
yeah.
fourth for
Appreciate
me.
it.
I think it's more than that. Mike's been on
4 or 5.
1,
Maybe I'm the top returning
2,
guest.
3. This is your fourth.
Sorry.
Definitely the top returning guest who talks the most.
Yeah, I mean,
That's mean.
you don't talk the most, but you definitely have a way of just you have an idea in your head and out it comes.
ADD.
ADD. All right,
That's
so
I gotta write stuff on my phone.
what's going on, dudes? How you been?
I mean, I haven't seen you since, I guess, I don't know. I think that was like the winter, maybe like December or something. And now, the world's upside down.
I think it
so-
was like January.
January. So 6-7 months, big difference. But just hanging in there, trying to be positive, I guess.
How's the comedy life going?
It's dead.
Yeah.
I haven't been up in 6 months. I haven't done stand-up in 6 months. So
Positive.
I mean, I could. I just haven't had the will to with the situations. But I think I'm gonna do an outdoor show soon and start just to make sure I can still do it.
You writing at all?
It's not stand up per se. I mean, I have a little bit written here and there, but I was working on other projects. I finished a screenplay and I'm just writing random stuff. But no, I haven't been really just writing stand up jokes.
I wrote a children's book.
Really?
Not on purpose.
Really?
That's a Mitch Hedberg line, I think.
That's awesome.
Or it might have been
though.
Stephen Wright.
That would have been hilarious.
What about you, Mike?
Just been doing content, writing, trying to be consistent. Just a bunch of different things. A lot of behind the scenes stuff that you probably understand that takes a lot of time that a lot of people don't see.
Oh yeah, I mean, anybody running a podcast or a social media account, there's more work behind the scenes than in front of the camera.
Yeah.
It's funny you said that because I had someone text me last night saying, "I like how you changed your thing to production company, not podcast." Shout out to JV.
JV.
Keep It Basement Media.
Keep It Basement Productions, Keep It
yeah.
Basement Media, trying to do multiple entities.
What else you try to do?
Just behind the scenes stuff, public relations,
Did-
social. We do
social
stuff,
media
social media for
consulting?
companies that I don't talk about it openly a lot of times, but behind the scenes stuff for companies
Yeah.
and different stuff.
We don't want it to just be like a podcast per se, but we still want the number one goal to be putting out our own content.
Well, that is what the best advice. What everybody tells you: diversify, right?
Yeah, especially now when you could just make money off of bullshitting and you sometimes you're doing stuff for somebody and you're not even charging them, and you could really.
I'm still trying to find a way to do that, to monetize something.
Yeah.
Well, I first started in radio. I was a radio personality, and then my friend was like, "Radio sucks. It's censored. Do a podcast. Do your own thing." So I always look at myself as a content creator wherever it is. So I'm more than everything. I just say whatever. Because if you look at it, Joe Rogan is popular on his podcast, but he's also a comedian.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when you have a podcast, you could do multiple things. Because everyone could be like, "Yo, I got a podcast," and everyone would be like, "Oh, he's got a podcast." Him and 100 million people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think they were just asking on the Adam Curry episode with Rogan. They were saying how many podcasts are actually out there. I think the
many.
approximate number is like 31 million.
Oh my god. Yeah, I was gonna
It's
say
a lot of
couple
competition.
million.
I don't know about you, but the numbers were down. I talked to Mouse Jones, who has a popular podcast, and he's in the scene of hip hop. And a lot of people weren't listening to podcasts because the quarantine and the regular routine was screwed up.
Mine probably
Yeah,
not.
I mean, I can
Meeting and
see
all
that. Most people, you can't really listen to like Legion of Skanks at home with the kids,
Definitely not.
And podcast is a routine thing where hey, I'm going to work today. I'm on the train listening or
Yeah.
driving, or at the gym.
That's most of my day.
Yeah.
I listen to podcasts from the time I get in the car to the time I'm walk in my front door.
Yeah.
Like I work all day, just headphones in. Because I work in construction, and
Yeah.
most of the time I can keep the headphones in and just do what I have to do.
Yeah, I usually bang out like at least 3 or 4 a day.
I mean, it's tough. Some of them are so fucking long.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be consistent with the ones I'll only really like is the ones I'll be consistent with.
Yeah.
But here and there, I'll throw another one on. But
Like if you just did like Rogan and Your Mom's House, like
it's like
that's
6 hours right there.
yeah, it's a ton. I mean, especially if you're doing like the first one I did with Duncan Trussell for Spotify, 5 hours.
Yeah.
Like, come on, it took me like 2 days to listen to that.
I try not to listen sometimes to so many because I don't want to become them. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to become influenced in a way too much where I'm trying to do stuff like that.
Well, the trick is to diversify what you're listening to. Like if you're just listening to one type of thing, then it's natural you're gonna kind of become them a little bit. But if you're all over the fucking place, then it's hard to become any one of those things.
Yeah.
You kind of take influences from all different places, and it kind of makes who you are. That's what people are in general, right? You're just a culmination of like all the influences you've had for your whole life.
That's what they say.
So if you're going from like Rogan to like Miss Pat to fucking Pod Save America or like anything, like you are all over the place.
Yeah. And it's crazy how there's so many huge podcasts out there that you never even heard of because you're not in that realm. So like I listen to mostly comedians podcasts, but I listen to this one true crime podcast called True Crime Garage.
I heard
and
of
it's
them.
huge.
Yeah.
Like they make a living off it. Like
They make more money than a lot of podcasts.
like 30,000 ratings on Apple Podcasts, like crazy sponsors. And it's like, unless you like true crime, you're probably never really going to mess with them. But that's such a niche. Like there's so many hardcore fans who are obsessed with true crime.
But it's such a deep niche too. Like if they're that successful off a show that a lot of us have never even heard of.
Yeah.
Like you have
That's
like
great.
a deep pocket that you can fill, but it's like, how do you even get there? Like that's my struggle personally with this show is like, how do you expand your listener base? How do you really grow it? You could get more followers and likes on Instagram, but that doesn't translate into anything, real.
Well, it's funny, like you said, though, it's like you could have a niche podcast about sunglasses and be the top podcast and get only a certain percentage of people listening, but you'll have more listens if you, instead of you doing a universal podcast where you talk about everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's tough to distinguish the two. Should I go all in on these current events in comedy, what people care about? Or should I be really niche and talk about sunglasses or these figures right here and have like one of the only podcasts to talk about that,
Yeah. I suppose that's the challenge though, finding where you fit in.
Yeah.
Got to get in where you fit in. That's a rap line.
Even something as small as like what you post on like Instagram.
Yeah.
Like I found that if I post like a quote, like a motivational quote or something like, that means something, like you're not really going to get much movement on that. But if I post a meme about like construction work, all of a sudden, like in 2 hours, I have like 2,000 likes.
People love the memes, man.
But it's weird. Only certain ones,
Yeah.
like the construction stuff that I post moves like crazy. And it makes you think, it's like, oh, maybe I should focus more on that.
Right.
But I mean, I don't want to limit myself because I like the fact that with the show like this, we could talk about whatever the fuck we want.
Right.
I was talking to people, and it's crazy that people would rather buy a workout supplement or a product than listen to something. Well, it's actually not crazy, but pretty much attention is the hardest commodity to get.
Mhm.
People don't want to take the time to listen to somebody who's not famous or big and listen to like hours of them. Instead, they'd rather just listen to Rogan, or they'd rather go work out or buy a supplement instead of having you to talk all day,
Yeah.
It's tough sometimes.
Well, that's what I mean. Like with 31 million podcasts, like how do you break through?
Yeah, it's oversaturated in a way.
But that's the struggle that we're all going through. That's the challenge everybody faces. But if just as a content creator, whether it's a podcast, whether it's social media, like an Instagram, like a page or whatever, or a YouTube channel, you're just competing with everybody else who has, the same capabilities as you to make stuff.
Yeah.
You think Joe Budden's a celebrity, right? He's pretty big, right?
Of course.
What about Adam 22? Pretty big?
I don't know. I don't know who that is.
Pretty big. These guys are worried about the future of podcasting. They're already successful in podcasting. That tells you a lot. And they're talking about oversaturation, and they don't like celebrities coming in. Joe Budden was talking about Will Smith being a content creator being the worst thing for other content creators. If you think about it, it's true.
Well, yeah,
He's
they
a
suck
Hollywood
up all the
celebrity.
oxygen.
All these celebrities come on. They could do a podcast tomorrow, get way more views than any of us ever did, and then they kill all the up-and-coming creators. And how do you become an up-and-coming creator? It's like, what the fuck, man? And if Joe Budden's worried about these types of issues, and Adam 22, who's already successful, Adam 22 is talking about how T.I. has a podcast now with no podcast experience, and they put all a bunch of money behind him, and he gets all these views, and he gets all this money, and has all these, and he has editors, producers, everything, and he knows nothing about the art of podcasting, and he's just an already famous actor and rapper. And it's like, boom, we'll go on T.I.'s podcast, pay him 7 figures a year.
But sometimes that's enough. Like
Yeah.
to just be you, to have your personality. That's what people want to hear.
Yeah.
People like T.I., they want to hear more T.I. So I mean, it's really as simple as that. And you know, we've talked about this before. I've said this, like L'Oreal from Lip Service, like she said, like the best way to grow your podcast is to already have a fan base.
Exactly.
And that's not a possibility for guys like us because we're starting from scratch.
If you do multiple things or work with other people, that's what I realized.
But so what do? You build up like an Instagram or a social media page.
People
try
do
to
that.
get people off that.
Meme pages people do that. People do work with different influencers. Me myself, behind the scenes, I do interviews at events, work with certain adult entertainment companies, also entrepreneurs, and I actually learn a lot of game from the entrepreneurs. I might not agree with everything people say, but I always want to learn and take that in.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, like, you know, I just try to learn and just learn the game of this.
Yeah, you suck up as much information from everybody, even if they're wrong. Like at least you hear what they're saying.
Yeah.
You know, you figure it out in your head. At least you have all this information and you sift through it and figure out what works best for you. But I mean, I don't know. So I mean, are you guys still working? Like aside from like comedy and podcasting, like you guys still have your side hustle, your side / main hustle?
My our job.
Yeah.
I quit my last job like maybe 3 weeks ago, and I mean, because I'm doing some other random stuff like freelancing and stuff, kind of getting by.
Mhm.
But I am starting another job tomorrow, which I'm dreading. You know, like another 9 to 5 or whatever. But I really liked I kind of liked the last 3 weeks of kind of just like getting by doing some random stuff. Like as long as you like putting yourself out there to offer your skills or at least just
Big.
show something that you could do. You never know what company or what entrepreneur is going to be like, oh, I need this and I don't know how to do it. I'll just pay you because I can. Or, oh, wow, that was really cool. Can you do this for me, you know, once a week or whatever, and I'll give you whatever. But, I mean, in terms of paying the bills and stuff, I mean, especially now that we're starting to monetize and gain a little bit of money from Keep It Basement, not enough to survive off of, but, like, combining that with maybe 2 or 3 other hustles or freelancing for 2 or 3 other people is just so much more attractive to me than having to be online 9 to 5 for this one other company.
And then when you see it, too.
So, like the last 3 weeks have been, like I've been kind of nervous, like worried about like where my money's coming from, but like it's kind of been like eye-opening and I like kind of like it. But like I'm starting this job tomorrow, and then what I did with my last job, I got my last job right before COVID hit. I had quit my previous job, and then I got a job right when COVID hit, and then I hated it so much, so I just quit. So like I'm gonna start this job tomorrow, but like not stop doing other stuff I'm doing, writing, doing Keep Basement stuff, doing some freelance stuff, and you know, maybe I'll quit this one. Like I'm at a point where I'm not gonna just be at a 9 to 5 for the next 5 years. 'Cause I did that with my first job. I was there for 3 years. I was like, all right, that was a good run. I see what happens. I hated it, but like if you can survive, I get it. You want benefits. You want a guaranteed, you want a guaranteed paycheck. I get it. Also, depending on what industry you're in, like you do something way different than what I've done the past 3 years. So like that's completely different. But like, if you can survive off of doing, you know, things here and there, and you don't have to be, you know, slave to this one company all day, every day, it just it feels better, and you definitely exert a lot more skills. You learn a lot more, I think. So the answer, short answer is yes.
People just looking at your back. I don't.
Yeah.
I want to see that beautiful face. You know?
So I mean,
Cute.
yeah, I mean, I'm just doing it because you know to pay rent and to, I guess, you know, have medical
Just
insurance
to make
and
ends
stuff
meet.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Also,
I'd love to get away from that.
It's
yeah.
a good feeling when you get a company backing you and you start making money doing what you like, and even like
Yeah.
social media stuff that you don't like, but you're getting paid for it, and it feels enticing. It feels good when you get a couple companies that fuck with you, and you're like, yo, if I could only get 3 more companies that fuck with me, I'll make more now doing freelance stuff than I do at my regular job.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And it's like a joke. It's like bet on yourself. It's
Yeah.
really true. You got to
Well,
bet on yourself.
It's a multiple thing. You get the validation and saying like these companies recognize that you're doing something worth investing in. It gets even if it's not worth it, it's not enough to provide for you pay your bills and everything. Just a little bit to offset the cost of producing a show and making content, because I mean, if you want to actually do anything, it's not free.
Yeah.
like it
nothing.
costs money to put all this shit together.
You actually make more money putting more money into you, I feel like, but it's a tough loss at first. But it's crazy because now you get to talk about LLCs, partnerships, and I'm signing contracts, and it's like, and I'm not a bragger or anything. It's like, do I like tell people, hey, like I signed an entertainment deal, I signed an influencer deal, and then do I tell people like I get all these views on YouTube a month? Because sometimes people look at it like they don't realize it, they don't look into it, but like 70 to 100,000 views on YouTube a month is pretty good for somebody who's not famous. You know?
Absolutely.
And like it might be because of the interviews I do with adult entertainers, but still, it's the content. It's funny.
And going back to you got to invest in yourself to make money. You got to spend money to make money.
So true.
Outsourcing, like I said, if you can afford it, outsourcing some stuff that saves you energy and time that you don't even know how to do or feel like learning how to do can help you so much. And we're starting to dive into that realm with some
Entrepreneur
editing
told me
stuff
that. So true.
because
Like how so?
Because say if I was spending all day editing a podcast, a Keep It Basement podcast took 7 hours, I could spend that other energy creating a comedy bit that could go viral. I could create a partnership, send an email to a company, or work on my other stuff, getting paid. And when you're doing too many things, you spread yourself too thin. And it is true, but like I'm not in the position to tell people to do that because you got to make money, obviously, and survive. But when you spend all your time doing all this podcast stuff, it's tough. So when you have somebody who's like a creative, like we just got this guy, he edits stuff. He gives out certain edits. It looks dope. Like he does stuff we can't do. So it's like play to your strengths. We could keep writing comedy. Tom could write a script. Tom could write some comedy routine, or we prepare for the podcast, and then we have someone else edit or video. So we're like the less we have to worry about.
See, I feel like you guys have been working together. Like Keep It Basement's been a thing for how many years now?
I've started it out of a whim in college for a blog, and it was like 2013. I'd say Tom came on in 2017.
Oh yeah,
16.
summer 2017.
But like I've had multiple people work with me, but it was never like a business, and I never really had the confidence to be like, hey, I'm an entrepreneur, business person. But now more than ever, when I see people making money like out of nowhere for like certain things that I could do better or do the same, it's like, fuck it, like I'm in for this. Let's go.
See, like I mean, I look at you guys kind of like peers, but you're way further ahead than I am, and it's like
Not really. I don't look at it like that.
no, but I'm just talking about in terms of how you've developed the show, you've cultivated like a fan base.
Yeah.
Like I'm always trying to play catch up with you.
Don't play catch up. I'm looking.
No,
like,
it's not
how
like-
the hell do you do that in his garage? I want this thing. The air
No,
conditioning. in there.
I mean, it not like in a competitive way. But
No, yeah, I
I'm
get
trying to kind of redo like follow your model.
That's the
almost.
thing, man. That's what you said is great. Hold on, let me get a point. I had someone who owns a media company say, like, dude, do you understand that what you do, you're like ahead of the game? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, everything you do is really good, etc. I don't like when people, I'm a down player. I don't like when people like talk up to me. But long story short, he was saying like you're gonna get lost in the sauce because of your lack of production skills or other stuff. He's like, you have to have professional stuff to look and play the part, and I don't really like that. I don't like playing the part on social media. But he's like, you have to be a business, you have to do this, you have to get the certain things to look professional because there's some shitbag who started a podcast a week ago who bought fake followers, who has a video guy, who has money, and he's shelling so much in, and he has 50,000 fake followers that you're gonna get looked at as someone who's like not as talented or whatnot, and you are talented. So play the part, do what you got to do, and keep it real, pretty much. But yeah.
And we're still been consistent with content, but if you notice, like we haven't put a podcast out in a month on audio, but we've put out a couple YouTube videos. You know, I put out stuff on Instagram. I try to do 2-3 things a week on Instagram. So in terms of delegating where you want to put your stuff at, rather than it just being a podcast and more so like a media outlet, it's like, okay, Keep It Basement, they might not have put out a podcast this week, but they put out something funny or good, so let me go check every platform that they're on. So that's why we try to put out the same thing on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. And now, who Mike mentioned, we're starting to outsource some of our YouTube editing to save us, save him time and energy, and that way we can expound it on maybe building a business relationship or doing another piece of content. And it's going to look better, and it's going to, it's just going to be that more attractive to go back to, oh, Keep It Basement can do this now. Not necessarily that we did it, but, if we can outsource it, then so be it. But I mean, we're still trying to dive into other realms in terms of working with other people, doing social media stuff for other people if they'll pay us. But we still want it to be Keep It Basement media. Like we're putting out content. It's our content. We'll do other side stuff, but we're not necessarily a full-blown business. But when we see people making money on other stuff, we could do that too. So we kind of are a business, but we're content creators and we're a business. And that's kind of like that used to be a fine line difference maybe 3-4 years ago, but now that's kind of becoming they mesh together. Yeah. Like Schultz and Joe Budden and all them.
It was actually funny because I was actually talking to someone who creates like memes and stuff, and we were talking, and he was saying, do you realize a lot of the best comedians now are really good at business? And I'm like, what do you mean by that? He's like, Schultz has a business degree. He's like, Joey Diaz used to do sales. All these guys who
he's like retired at this point.
All these guys who are killing
it. We gotta find him. He's here.
I know. I don't know what town. I gotta find him.
All these guys who are killing it had some type of business thing, and Kevin Hart is a great business person and a comedian, and it's like now the two go hand in hand. But what I was gonna say with all that stuff is, I'm a anxious guy, weird guy, and I was never confident like to promote hardcore, and now I don't give a fuck and I'll just promote it, but I'm not gonna like brag and stuff because I'm not where I want to be success wise and everything like that. But never look at it like you're behind someone or you're this and that. It's cool to like look up to people or like be influenced and stuff like that. But what I realize now is a lot of it is about evergreen content, and like that's how you build an audience. And what I mean by that is, for example, I'll have like 5 YouTube videos that I interviewed like famous people, and every month they'll get like 50,000 views. So it's like these comedians are already ahead of the game because they're famous, have an audience. 2, they're building evergreen content. I'm giving gems here away. So they're just
The hell's evergreen mean?
evergreen is like content.
Never gets old.
It never goes away.
Yeah.
Like for instance, like they'll talk about
It's never irrelevant.
they'll never they'll talk about like the news or it'll blow up, or they'll have an interview with like a porn star or somebody in politics, and every month they're getting like $20,000 on that video.
Yeah.
Like it just keeps accumulating. And I talk to famous YouTubers all the time, and they were telling me that like talent is the least important thing a lot of the times, which is fucking crazy.
Well, I mean, the thing is,
It's about the work ethic,
even if
too.
you look at like the big business model of social media companies, like it's all about getting eyes on, on the app or on the content or whatever. So if you just boil it down, it's all about the numbers and like little things like the psychology of something, like the way you look at something and the way it registers in your head. Like that's all part of it. And unfortunately, you could kind of get by without having that much talent if you market it the right way, if you build it the right way. And
Look at Brendan Schwab.
Brendan Schaub, yeah.
Just kidding. Love you.
He was talking about Schwab. It's a different guy. He's from Delaware. Don't worry about him.
He doesn't know how to pronounce anything.
But what you were saying though about like delegating out certain things, so like letting people play to their strength, like having somebody to edit your video and create your content, or not create it, but to edit it and put it.
Yeah.
I'd
Like-
shelled $100, you know?
Yeah,
It still sucks because you have to pay them, and
But-
if you might not have the income, but down the line, if you can pay them and you can still get by, it's not like you're gonna give $100 to a guy to edit a video and now you're fucked for rent that month. If you can shell it out here and there, it'll make a difference down the line.
Well, what I've been trying to do is learn that shit on my own.
That's
Me
what-
too. You
that's
have to
what we
learn it.
should
You
do.
have to learn it on your own, so you
Yeah.
know you're not getting fucked in the deal. But at
Exactly.
the same time, you don't want to. You have a life. You have a family. You have kids. You want to.
we kinda
you
have
want to
more
be with
time.
them. You don't want to
Yeah.
sit here and edit for 20 hours, and it's not worth your time. You rather pay 200. Hey, edit this for me.
That's always been my struggle, is the
And don't,
balance.
yeah, and
Yeah.
don't get it twisted. I love doing nothing. Like I'll sit around for 3 hours at a time and just
Sounds
watch
like
TV.
me.
But like, yeah, you got a family and kids. We're single. We kind of we don't have nice houses. I live in a shitty apartment.
I
Like
live in a fucking basement.
yes.
And a nice shore house too.
Hey,
where
this
catfish
was-
girls.
This was all afforded by 15 years of drinking on the job and writing dirty things in porta johns.
That's great.
No, I'm kidding.
I need to
Well,
get the
about the
union.
drinking on the job part,
But,
for the
like,
most part.
We could probably have more. And I love sometimes I go to the beach sometimes like by myself. I just kill a day.
You have to.
But like you really should learn how to edit and do everything yourself. But
I can.
he can for the most part. I have never really taken the time to learn. Like the last thing we outsourced, I never really taken the time to learn how to do that. But I know I probably want to blow my brains out 10 minutes in. But I still should learn. But when you can just see the finished product, and you got to throw $75-$100, it's kind of just like a stress relief off your shoulders.
Yeah.
Especially two guys like us who are always stressed anyway.
Well, listen, as someone who's done the only thing that I haven't done myself with this podcast is design the new logo. That's the only thing. Everything else I did 100% myself. And all the editing, like, how long does it take you to edit an episode?
It takes me a while.
He's OCD though, so he probably exerts a
It
little
all-
bit more
it all
time than he needs
depends.
to.
The longest it took over 10 hours, sometimes like an hour, shortest.
Yeah, I mean, for me to edit the audio is pretty quick.
You ever have
Yeah.
a comedian say, "Can you take this part out?" I talk
That's
shit about
happened
every-
maybe
I've had it-
once.
Yeah, I've had
Ever.
it, but it wasn't a comedian. Like I've had it a couple times. I had one guy ask me to take something out the night before it's supposed to come out. Like,
Hey,
this
next
gets
time,
released-
don't fucking come.
Well, no, I mean it was a good conversation.
That's such a commonality though in like big podcasts. But granted, they have producers and editors that they outsource to because they're
Here's
already
the
famous.
thing as well,
but, like,
Steve. To play the part, I'm not saying be phony. I'm saying, think about this. If you're a comedian, do you want to tell everyone that you're editing or you're doing this and that? You do everything yourself. It's a good thing. Call her daddy. Alexandra Cooper does it. She gets paid a lot of money. But a lot of these comedians have that like weird mentality. Like, I'm only a comedian. I can't say I do this.
They wanted to make it look like they're successful enough to have someone else do it.
Or they just don't want to know how to do it. And in a way, you can be more successful that way because you're only focusing on your strength, your
Yeah.
one task.
But I mean,
I think it's better being able to do.
yeah, hell yeah.
things
It's
instead.
like, I don't need you. Fuck you. I can
Yeah.
do this
Yeah.
all on my own.
Yeah. At the same
That's what I
time, though,
like.
an entrepreneur told me, like, for me, 'cause especially with ADD being a weirdo and all that, like delve down on your strengths, go hard on your strengths, and he's made more money when he's delegated. It's also, for me, I look at it like a consultant. I don't look at it like as a guy editing my stuff. I got a guy who's been cool and he knows hip hop, he knows comedy, so he'll put in funny shit that might help me go viral, and in the long run it's an investment on my brand to get
What do you
get
mean
paid.
by he'll put in funny shit?
Like if I'm talking about like a certain topic, he'll put like that clip right there, or like he's like my second comedy voice, and in a way it's like he's a writer and a consultant because he's helping me be funnier and be more engaging, entertaining instead of just talking. And there's different clips and stuff. I'll show you my latest video, but it's just cool as well, even if I'm paying him to work with him. And if he believes in the vision and the brand, and over time, it's like a type of guy to have as a media guy.
Yeah, we just started
I'm just trying to
doing
build
that.
with people,
Mhm.
you know.
The last YouTube video that was edited by our buddy Chris Matthews.
Shout out Chris Matthews.
That's the first time we've done that. So we're thinking like 6 months, a year down the line when we have those coming out 2-3 times a week. Right, that way it's actually YouTube numbers are going up, or it's being more
It
consistent.
looks way better.
It looks sick. Like
It's
he knows
amazing.
a little bit of comedy. He knows hip hop, and he like can just put stuff in that. Even if I knew how to do that stuff, I probably wouldn't even think of it. I'm just worried about like
So I might not be able to do
being
it.
funny.
Yeah.
I could do it, but he could do it better. And when I tell him like how I want, or he knows me, and I talk to him and have a sit down, and it's like it's more or less like a partnership and a consultant. It's not even like this dude's editing video, blah, here's $200. It's like this dude knows what will hit. He knows the certain trends.
There's a
and I'm
method
funny,
to what he's doing.
So yeah,
And he can use it for his portfolio, and then
Exactly.
we could shout him out on our YouTube page. And so it's like kind of like a win-win. Especially guys in that industry, those production guys, those editor guys, that's what they want.
yeah.
You know, they don't want just like, all right, give me $100, don't say anything, nobody says anything. I didn't even do this. You did it yourself. Here it is. We'll literally tell people who did that. Like what you Rogan, Jamie, like when Jamie is on
Vernon,
Rogan,
yeah.
they know Jamie's right there.
I'll
It's
give
not
you-
like he's hidden.
I'll give you a good example. You know how you paid for your stuff and our logos we paid for too? Those fuckers would do it free for like a Theo Vaughn for the
Because
shout
they're
out.
huge.
They
Yeah.
do it.
For
They
the
do it
tag
for
or
free.
for the
I've
shout
talked
out.
to some people.
They do it.
They
Yeah,
do it for free.
all
But
those
us,
guys do it.
they're like, oh fuck it, they're not huge yet. I'll pay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I get it. You got to pay.
I get it
bills.
too. We're not
That
big,
makes
you know?
sense. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's kind of like a step, like 10 steps higher on the ladder. So if
Yeah.
you can get your stuff up there, that's better for you, even if it's for free. Like you still are coming out ahead in
But
the end.
getting new listeners is tough, but I realize in the Corona thing, it's like the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. Like look how like Schultz kills it, Rogan kills it. It's tough if you don't have a brand name or not a famous comedian to build that and get all those views on YouTube. Like those guys are doing all the right things, and they already are a credible source of comedy. Plus they have the algorithms down, they got the thumbnails, they got a fucking whole team behind them. It's like they're just getting money.
Well, it's funny to me that, you know, a lot during the pandemic and everything, everybody's home and quarantined. You see a lot of people who've had these big studios, who have all this expensive production. They're, you know, reduced now to sitting home and doing Zoom interviews for content. And it's like, hey, wow, like the playing field almost just got leveled a little more. Like, I mean, you're still bigger, you still have name recognition, but like you're forced now to do the same thing I'm doing. And it's clear in a lot of these cases that they don't know what the fuck they're doing without all this money behind them. You know what I mean? Like you see they have like shitty quality on these Zoom calls. It's like constantly cutting out. And it's like, if you can't even fix that, like for your content, like it kind of gives us a little wiggle room to maybe move ahead and, you know, make our shit stand out a little more. But I just thought that was interesting because it's funny to me, you know, it's like these big name people, you don't know what the fuck you're doing either. Like, I probably know more about this than you.
You don't. They
Oh, yeah.
just
Especially
have a huge
if they're not a
fan base.
producer, yeah.
There is comedians who are famous who aren't that funny. They might know Rogan, or they just been doing it for 20 years and they took that risk and it's paid off. But they don't know what the fuck they're doing. You might know more than them. You might be funnier than them. You know what I mean? It's just the fact that the brand is there and they got the audience.
It's that fan base. That's why I like a lot of these. Some of even the bigger comedians, they don't make. If they have a dedicated fan base, they don't make a bunch of money off of the podcast and the sponsors. They make it off of like a Patreon or like a third party donate money situation.
Yeah.
You know, and like obviously sponsors come with that, but like
Shot flush it.
if you're kind of maybe not that big, but you have like a dedicated fan base of 5,000 people who pay you $5 a month on Patreon every month. I don't know the math because I'm not good at it, but you're making whatever. You know, Tim Dillon is making $30,000 a month off
That's
Patreon.
wild.
He could just do his podcast.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'll take $30,000 a month right now.
Yeah, and then like
Do
you
a
got,
podcast
like,
once a week. Are you
Schultz
kidding?
YouTube getting paid
Couple
thousands a
sketches.
month, and then the Patreon pages. It's just like it adds up to like this became their passion and their hobby, and it became a business. They're all business people. No one wants to believe it, but they all know what they're doing business wise too. Like even Tim Dillon, like you could see he knows what he's doing business wise.
Me and Mike were talking about this before you got here, Tom. I started a YouTube channel for my son just so he could like play video games and shit online, and because he watches YouTube all day, and he's like, oh, I want to be a YouTuber. So now,
My nephew.
like, we put a couple videos out, and he could legitimately say he's a YouTuber, and we were joking like, watch, his shit blows up Well, I'm here like
I
I'm
said
basically
that.
working
I
like
said, he'll blow up.
like an extra 40 hours a week putting this shit out. And it's like, here he is just playing fucking Roblox on YouTube. And now all of a sudden we could live off that.
Yeah, I mean, it's so there's just
It's unpredictable,
the Twitch
really.
Yeah.
streaming and the video game playing and the kids.
There's definitely a strategy to it, though. but
It's so much
unpredictable.
more popular than like the comedians that are doing stuff. Like, there's probably like I see a lot of big YouTube channels, but there's probably only a handful of guys making like stupid YouTube money, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
But when it comes to kids and Twitch streaming playing video games, there's probably a bunch.
But these fuckers do play dumb, like they don't know anything, but they're strategic with it and have all this like money behind them or a team behind them who knows how to go viral. Like I'm telling you, they act like they don't know, but they've been exposed and they do. They even consult for people behind the scenes and stuff. Like they play real dumb, some of them, but they know what they're doing.
I was always curious how people are able to figure out these algorithms for like the
Me
different
too. I've been
platforms.
banned,
No idea.
shadow banned on and off. It's annoying.
I like for me, like a lot of the stuff because it's all about like masculinity and how to be better men and shit like
Yeah.
that. I feel like I've gotten lumped in with the guys who are like all these like anti-feminist fuckers and like
That's funny.
and that's not at all what this is.
Yeah.
So and there was a point where I thought maybe I got shadow banned a little bit because
Well,
like,
I did. I know I did.
We've been shadow banned and didn't even know.
My
Yeah.
my editor said, "Dude, you got to work on your titling because they shadow ban you." But what's funny is that I'm in algorithms too, and like there'll be an interview with Schultz where he interviews somebody, and I'm underneath it, or like Adam22, and I'm in that with them. But then a month later, I'll be like hidden, and you can't find me.
mhm.
It makes no sense.
What I think is funny is that you're probably more likely to get shadow banned if you're smaller, and if you're bigger
That's
with
true.
similar titles, you'll be
Make more
good.
money.
But the bigger guys are making more money off your platform, so you would think YouTube would try to shadow ban them more than the lower guys.
No, they
but
want the
it's,
money.
it's the reverse.
Yeah.
They want the
They're
money.
scumbags.
And then like
It's all about money. It's a business.
It's
Yeah.
it's censorship on their own terms.
Yeah.
They'll censor you if you're not big and making money or too much. But at the end of the day, oh shit, they brought in money. We have a relationship with them. It's all relationships.
Mhm.
that's
It's all
why.
bullshit.
And the fact that everyone's just like fuck Netflix, fuck Comedy Central, fuck all them, whatever. It's all YouTube, YouTube, YouTube. I'm like, yeah. But if it gets too crazy, which it probably already is, YouTube could just be like, all right, no, now you got to pay to have a YouTube account. You got to do this. You got to
They
do that.
already
I'm
suck.
waiting for that to happen. They already flag everything
They already
under
suck.
the sun.
They want
Yeah.
They want child friendly content now.
well, they're
Can't
the new
blame 'em.
gatekeepers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Like everybody
ridiculous.
thought, like oh, we're,
It's
you
funny
know,
because they've been around for 15 years.
Yeah.
And nobody even realizes it.
but it's like oh, the shackles are off. We don't have to worry about these big networks on TV now.
Yeah,
All of a sudden,
Yeah,
it's just replaced by YouTube.
Ben gone.
That's
yeah.
the thing. Comedians act like they're their own boss and entrepreneurs independent, but are you really your own boss when Spotify owns you or YouTube owns you?
Let
And
me
that's
a-
not a shot at anyone. I'm just saying.
But
YouTube
who-
doesn't really own you because
Yeah.
But
you
you're putting
can
your-
put out
you-
stuff out there for
But
free.
what if you had your own platform?
You're
No one
at
would
their
come to it,
mercy.
probably.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
They don't own you, but they can shut you down pretty
Yeah.
quick.
It's your account and stuff. Like,
And then you were talking about like what hits, like your construction content hits, right? Like I always felt that like do you go with what your strengths are? Like that it might hit on Instagram, but it might not hit on your podcast. That's
Yeah.
another thing. And it's like for me, people always shun me about adult entertainment, but it's done more for me and it's got me in better places and bigger interviews than anything else. So why would I hate on that?
Yeah.
And I'm not hating on like the women who I interview. It's all comedy and it's all good stuff.
Well, it's funny because like the construction stuff hits on Instagram, and I haven't done that many construction related podcasts because it's hard to get those fucking guys in here. Most of them's like, I don't know. I'll let you know.
But the podcast.
they're probably so old school they don't even really listen to podcasts, right? Or they
It's,
do.
I'm starting to see like the young cats start, listening to shows and
It's
stuff.
such a young person game, I
Like
think.
I remember I was working at a building in Hoboken last year, and I heard this guy was listening to Bill Burr like twice a week.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fucking, you're a fan of old Billy Redface, huh?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Do me a favor, don't fuck
Oh, my
with
bad.
the Michael.
Another thing is just because someone's listening to you doesn't mean they will invest in you. And like a lot of the times,
Yeah.
a lot of these fuckers on YouTube will have like 12-year-olds listening, and they'll make money on YouTube. But when they like try to buy merch or sell something, no one's buying that stuff. So it's like sometimes the old heads are good to have, even if they don't listen, and they'll buy a T-shirt or just out of love. And it's very interesting to distinguish the two between like who's listening and who's paying for your product.
I like having like the older guys for the content purposes.
Yeah.
Because those are the guys who have the best stories, like the most entertaining, because they forget like this is out going out on the internet, so they're just being themselves.
Yeah.
And that's the reason you wanted them in the first place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I have like 15 like old dudes, like old timers from the job that are hilarious when you sit down and talk to them on coffee break, and it's like you get them in front of a microphone and then just like clam
They
up.
clam up. Oh, my bad. I've never understood that. Like,
Well, I mean, for instance, you showing memes now?
No, funny
Is it
thing
Singrella?
from a hater.
yeah, I just think the fact that, going into a podcast, it's like so. I feel like it's so much less pressure than if you were like going on a TV set or
Mhm.
going to, I don't know, playing a basketball game, whatever. You're literally like, yeah, there's a mic there, which could be intimidating, but like, it's not like there's one cap. It's not like there's Hollywood directors here. There's whatever. Like, could literally have this conversation that we just had the last whatever off mic.
He doesn't understand. He's in comedy. People get scared of this stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean that's.
I
the
guess
thing,
they're more professional.
but
people.
that's the thing I love about the podcast is that as soon as you start talking, like 5 minutes in, you forget the mics and the cameras here.
Then they tell you,
So
can you
then
edit this?
It becomes natural.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, for me, shit, the first couple recordings I did, like I was nervous as hell.
Yeah.
Just hearing my own voice, you know, in the headphones, it's weird. And if you've never done it, it is really intimidating to people. Like some people, like their biggest fear is fucking public speaking.
Yeah, no, that's why I did radio. I was like, I don't want to do the stage yet. Let me try radio, then podcasting. That's why it's like whatever people say podcast, but whatever for me it is, it's just a medium to express myself or interview people that I'm interested in.
Yeah, I used to be. I guess I used to be afraid of public speaking. It's funny because
Hot girls are afraid.
I'm
They're
I barely remember high school, which is not good to have a bad memory. I don't think I did that many. Like, what'd you guys? You probably had to do like speech a couple times a year in high school.
Yeah, a little bit.
But I remember my first semester of college was my first class of ever in college. 8 in the morning on Monday was a public speaking class with this weirdo teacher, and I was terrified the entire semester. But I equate getting behind a mic to like if I didn't even realize this is gonna go out online. Like I just I'll just babble.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're used to it now. We've been doing this for years.
Well, what's weird is like it was funny because a really attractive girl I interviewed, and people will probably be scared of her because she's attractive.
Shout out Taylor JJ.
And she was like nervous to talk on the podcast, and in a way, like women like that you do something that's like kind of like on the mic in a way, and it's like you kind of have power and you don't realize it, but like not like an ego way. But I see why these creepy comedians do weird shit and get all these girls because of the power that they think they have or do have.
Well, it's funny, like as a host, like you kind of do that dynamic between host and guest. Like it gives you that kind of that power dynamic. Where it's like you're running the show, you're calling the shots here. It's like you're here, you know, as my guest.
Girls think
my
it's sexy, by the way.
Well, I mean that doesn't mean anything to me.
He's married.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, but allegedly, girls think it's hot in a way because you have some type of power or have like a platform in a show, even if it isn't like a Rogan type. Or they just think you're a weird fuck in your basement. Yeah.
But it's funny because even the shyest person, I feel like if you can talk to them right and get them at ease, then they forget about the mics too, and then they loosen up over time. That's why
had that happen.
But that's why the long form is better. Like instead of these short little like half-hour interviews, by the time the thing's over, like you just started to get them to drop their guard.
Right.
Like with my wife is the shyest person you'll ever meet in your life. Mm-hmm. But once I start talking to her here, she loosens up and she forgets about it, and then she's great on the mic.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes people drink, or also some people I heard they won't record till like it's a flow, and I sometimes used to do that, and he used to get mad. I would like put it on or not, and then when we started talking, it was flowing. I would just start it up and have the episode go, keep it organic.
I would just start recording from the beginning and maybe edit out the shitty parts in the beginning.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's easy when I got guys like you. You're used to this, you know.
We haven't done it in a while,
you've had some like you've been definitely. I noticed you've been going off more into like just different kinds of guests from all over the world, or all over the facet of whatever. So it's like probably had some shy people on, or some like you had a couple doctors. I mean, no, I doubt a doctor ever did a podcast before this.
Well,
maybe
the first guy was a podcaster. That's how I found out about him. Dr. John Schinnerer. He's the host of the Evolved Caveman podcast. But he was a super, super generous guy, super nice, and like he was a great interview because he's used to podcasting. He's knowledgeable. We're talking about shit that's right in his wheelhouse.
Right.
So it's like I could let him shine and get great content out of it, and even get my own questions answered because he was, you know, a lot of the stuff he dropped some real fucking gems. Like the last guy, Dr. Sam Madera, also a podcaster. I know
those both Zoom.
Yeah, they're both on Zoom. But
I listened to Sam. Yeah, that was good.
He had me nervous, man, because now I got to go make a doctor's appointment. Like I got low T.
Oh,
I got low T. I know it. I'm positive.
I got low T. What was he saying about low T? It's really you really need to have good testosterone levels.
You ever been kicked in the balls?
Yeah,
several
times. You have low T.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm kidding. But I mean, he's saying like all these different symptoms and like warning signs that
frequent masturbation. Does that hurt?
I don't think so.
That's probably good.
I mean,
I know Propecia doesn't help.
Are we talking about incessant masturbation?
That's me. JK.
I've jerked it twice since we've been here.
Really?
No. But yeah, no, and I got to make a doctor's appointment. Like being tired all the time, like low motivation, like you don't take joy in things that you
That's
know
Zappia
you love
naturally.
doing.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird, man. And now I'm like, I know it because I'm always tired. But I'm gonna go to work. I have my apprentice work with me. Like, I was telling him about it. I'm like, I'm just gonna blame everything on this. I'm like, the delivery didn't show up today. Fucking low T.
That's what's so weird. You go to a doctor, you say that, they're going to say,
Low T.
here's the antidepressants. How do you know you just don't have low T?
Well, that's the thing. And you can go to your regular physician and they can do the test. But sometimes you have to go to a specialist for them to interpret all that data because a regular general practitioner may not be specialized in.
Well, they'll
in,
slap
like,
you with some
hormonal
amphetamines
stuff.
or some antidepressants. Say, here you go.
They might just say, get more sleep,
Yeah.
which is a good piece of advice.
I'm lucky. I always get great sleep. Like that's never been a
I'm
problem.
the
for me.
worst.
Knock on.
And right now,
Everyone I know is the worst.
I wake up a lot.
I have my wife's cousin has been staying with us since the quarantine started.
Oh, yeah?
So she got a job up here and everything. She's looking for an
Oh, wow.
apartment. Like she's great. Like I love having her here actually because she helps so much.
Right.
But we gave her my son's room while she's here, so he's been staying in the bed with us.
Mm-hmm.
I guess for me it's still weird, but he's a fucking kid.
Yeah.
They kick and they roll around, like that fucks up my sleep.
Oh,
but then I blew apart that whole argument because we were at a hotel last weekend and I slept kind of good, but not like a noticeable improvement. I'm
Right.
like, no, it's me. It's not him. It's me.
Yeah.
I know people have trouble sleeping and stuff. People say like magnesium helps or sometimes nighttime tea, but I don't know.
You do
Or,
pills?
like,
You do
natural
sleeping pills or
sleeping
no?
My problem is I need to be up in time for work, so I can't do it during the week.
What's the average you get a night?
Average, if I get 6, that's good.
Not good, not bad, right? I think Rogan gets that.
It's still
They
under
say
where you want to
8,
be.
But I think 8 is.
Minimum 7.
I get 8 no problem every single night. And I feel bad telling people that because everyone I know is just like either they wake up 10 times a night, they can't fall asleep.
That's
Falling
my problem.
asleep's my least problem. I will literally by 1 a.m. I'm dead. I'll fall asleep.
I could hyper focus and be up like till like 3.
Yeah, no, I'll fall
I
asleep.
can't do that,
No
yeah.
problem. But then I'll wake up in the middle of the night for no reason.
And I drink coffee all day, and I still will pass out. 1:30, I'm done.
I'll have to like work out sometimes late at night. I'm a weird guy.
See, that's my other problem is I haven't been working out.
That
I
helps.
put on mad weight and everything.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm actually dieting right now.
I was like thinking, it didn't really make a big difference, but then like over time, it accumulates and it does. Even
Yeah.
like going for a walk helps, or like just running or working out and weights.
Well,
I miss the gym.
for me, it's kind of all tied together because I don't work out that much because I'm always tired. I don't have the motivation to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I'm already spending so much time out here working on the podcast. And it's
Right.
like, that's even more time away from the family.
Yeah.
So when I was talking to that Dr. Madeira, he had a great idea, like do stuff with the kids. So I was going to take my son to the park and we'll just kick around the soccer ball for an hour and a half.
Yeah,
like,
that's
and
good.
just running around with the ball that's actually a workout.
Oh, I hate working out. I play basketball like 2 or 3 times a week,
Mhm.
and I convince myself that is my workout, and because I like to do that. I hate working out.
He's going to be fighting soon in a boxing match
Who am I boxing?
with a police officer
Oh yeah,
or a charity.
Get
charity
ready,
boxing event.
get ready for the wintry freshness of Mace.
Oh, that's
'cause
my
it's
favorite time
coming.
of year right now.
But yeah, no, I just got to do something. It all started when I got married. Like, I don't want to blame my wife and son for that because it's not their fault at all. But I never learned how to balance my time because I never had to before.
Yeah.
So it's like a problem. Like me and my wife do like workouts. We go to Orange Theory, and it's been closed, so that we haven't been able to do. But we're gonna try to go on Tuesday, and then you have to wear a mask during the class.
Yeah, well,
it's
gyms
pain
just
in the
opened back
ass.
up.
I don't really.
My gym
I really
closed
don't want to
down.
wear a mask.
25%.
Gym's just what?
My gym closed down.
Permanently?
Yeah, that I went to.
Ugh.
Yeah,
Right
everyone,
by where you used to go, like the.
as soon as gyms open back up, everyone I know went back to their gym. I guess it's like 25%.
Wearing a mask is
capacity
a
or
lot,
whatever.
it's
But yeah, you have to
annoying.
wear a mask while you
That's tough.
I
Oh,
never
like
work. I've never been a go to the gym workout guy. I had a gym membership like once for a year, but
Mhm.
like I can't imagine working out with a mask is very.
Oh no, because not only
Preferable.
does it make it harder to breathe, but it's actually like you can give yourself, I think, it's called CO2 poisoning. Like you're breathing back in the air you already exhaled because it's not getting away.
I worked out hard, and then I went to Wegmans to shop, and I wore my mask, and it was like actually kind of rough for me because I just had a hard workout. And I'm like, this sucks. I wouldn't want to wear a mask in the gym.
Well, that's what, like at my job. Like you're supposed to wear a mask like when you get on the hoist and do all this stuff, but at this point, it's like people just kind of stop wearing them,
Mhm.
and nobody's really complaining because we all hate wearing them as it is, and it's like we've already been through like that first wave where people got sick. Like there was like only 4 guys on my job that got sick.
Mhm.
We have a lot of guys from New York that they come in from across the river.
It's like at this point, it's like fuck it. Right?
But yeah, at this point, it's kind of like I think for us it kind of passed.
It's gonna come back though. Apparently, they say in the winter.
Well, that's the worry. Like, what do you think? You think we're gonna get a second wave?
Possibly, probably. I mean, it's 2020.
I think it's gonna be like just what it is, what it's been the whole time.
Because what happens if we get a second wave? Does everything have to shut back down again?
What does that mean a second wave though? Because there's still
Only if
cases
Trump
popping
wins.
up every
That's
day.
what they say.
Like
But-
just worse.
Just kidding.
Well, I
Like,
guess
just a
it's
lot
like,
more at once. I
like
guess.
the cases start popping up here again, like they did in the beginning.
If Biden wins, no second wave. If Trump wins, second wave.
I don't think. I mean,
I'm
yeah,
fucking with you.
I know that, but there's a lot of people that
They
are
will.
saying that same thing, or like
It's
the
funny
inverse.
though.
Even if there is, I guess, a more so wave, I don't think we could do what we did like back in like March, April. I think it should just like
Yeah,
figure it out, ride it out. I don't think it'll be. If I had to guess, I don't think it'd be like crazy again. Like I saw a chart the other day that said, I guess it was like 2 or 3 days ago, 1,200 new cases in the U.S. In that day, and then every other country was like way less. But I was like 1,200 in a day across the country. I feel like that's not that many.
I mean,
Used to
in
be
the
way
grand
worse.
scheme
It's
of
not
how,
good, but
yeah,
like
of
Not
how many
bad, not
people
bad
there
back
are,
then.
like
yeah.
related to the population, like yeah, that's not that many, but that's still can if you compare where other countries are, I guess you would have to go by percentage, because we still, I think you don't see it as much in other countries the way you do here, like the anti-mask people. Like people are like, oh, yeah,
Have you run into any people who are like aren't wearing a mask and
I
it's like an
have.
argument happens or something?
not in the
In the
the
stores,
sense
like?
where it's like people freaking out, but I've definitely run into people who like bust your balls for wearing a mask,
I got
in-
friends like that.
I don't like indoors or like just in general.
just in general.
Like going to the stores. I don't. If I'm outside, I don't wear it.
Mm-hmm.
I literally only wear it when I go into a public place.
My friends are funny. You have friends who don't believe in it, don't give a fuck. Then you have friends who are like super sincere and like outside, like hanging out with the mask on, or like won't come in. It's like cute.
I'm neither. I'll like if you want to wear a mask to respect other people's privacy and you prefer it. Like first of all, I think a lot of store owners are like you have to be wearing a mask if you go in. Like I'm
Yeah,
not
no,
gonna.
the stores don't fuck around.
Of course, I'm gonna wear a mask. If you feel more comfortable with me a mask, then I will wear it. But I'm not going to the park and wearing a mask.
Yeah, no, when we keep them with us.
Yeah,
But
same.
if we're walking around, like we don't.
There's
hang
people who wear them
outside.
at parks.
I keep them in my car. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a pack in the car, and if we leave the house, we gotta make sure everybody has one like in their pocket or whatever.
Mhm.
We went to Cheesecake Factory last night,
Mhm.
and like you have to wear a mask when you're going in there. There were all the hostess and everything. Like there's some old lady in front of me trying to like get a table, and she's trying to talk, but she doesn't have like the strong voice to get the words out loud.
Right.
So she's like trying to pull down the mask to be serious, like louder. And the girl's like, "Ma'am, could you please put your mask back up?"
Yeah.
That's another thing. People don't want to talk long anymore, and it's like the art of the conversation's dying socially. Could affect people with social anxiety in a way, but it's kind of interesting, like you were saying, like you can't really hear as much with the mask on, depending if you're old, and it's like just a pain. It's like, fuck it, I'm not gonna say much, and just keep it
I
moving.
don't think it makes that much of a difference, and I'd actually like. I think this will be the normal thing for a few years, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a very small price to pay. Like,
Yeah.
to try to save a few people, even if it saves two
Yeah.
people. Like, fine, I'll wear the mask.
Just a lot of effort going out, though.
Only to public places, like you're not wearing it in your house, you're not wearing it outside, really at a park, whatever. Just if you're going, there's gonna be other people who don't know you. You're not gonna wear it to your buddy's house, like we're not wearing it right now.
Yeah.
But like if you're going into a Wegmans, like to throw it on to shop for what 40 minutes?
No, but my thing
It's
is,
nothing.
like going to
Yeah.
a comedy club. It's like, what's the point of even going with wearing the mask? Like, it's kind
Yeah,
of
I have been to
annoying.
quite a few.
So have
comedy
I, but
shows.
like, it's kind of annoying. Like, I get the people who are like, what's the point of even going out? But let's just go out to be normal. But you got to wear a fucking mask the whole time.
No, you don't. You have to wear
I
a
know.
mask to get
No,
to
but
your table.
I'm saying inside you might, like down the line.
Oh, down the line, yeah, that would be annoying.
It kind of seems silly sometimes though, because you have to wear the mask to get to the table, but everybody like
Like
as soon as you get
stress
to the
factor.
table, you're not wearing it,
That's
and then
it, I
there's
was
still
gonna
people
say.
walking all over
Completely
the
Like
place.
you were talking
so-
about cheesecake, they have the mask, then you go to your table, you take it off. What's the fucking difference? I don't care.
Yeah.
No difference.
Let me film. Someone tell me that.
So, like, you want to be serious about it, but when you see stuff like that, it's like, what are we doing?
Or when you see like
is
50
this-
dipshits outside partying.
Yeah, like, are we making a difference? But I mean, the numbers show that wearing the masks actually does make a difference in cases going down. But
definitely.
there's little things like that just make you wonder. It's like,
Yeah, I don't
is
get the
this- Is this
logic.
for nothing?
I just wonder if the numbers going down is 100% specifically from masks, or if it's just from the disease kind of like fluttering out a little bit or making its rounds, and especially getting to the people who are asymptomatic. Like hundreds of thousands of people definitely had it, never got
Yeah.
tested, were asymptomatic,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and they were good, or like maybe they spread it, maybe they didn't. Plus, they say if you're asymptomatic, it's like impossible for you to spread. So if I had it and I was asymptomatic, and then I saw somebody that I could have spread it to, I went to a gathering. There's a good chance I didn't even really spread it at all. But like, so like, I don't really know.
Well, the fucked up thing is that nobody has hard facts. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, we look at memes for news.
yeah, but you can go anywhere to get all these competing facts, and it's like, what are you
What are you supposed to believe?
Yeah, what are you supposed to believe?
Not a meme.
So it's a scam.
Is it it's like a scam? But it's fucked up because I think that's what's giving people so much anxiety about the whole thing is that we don't know what's true. Because all these things that seem like reliable sources are all telling you, conflicting things. So, so what do we do?
I think there's a correlation too, like not to get political, with Trump supporters where they might have an anxiety, but instead of showing the anxiety, they act like bravado and tough and like, I'm not wearing a fucking mask in public. Like, I don't give a shit.
But I know some Trumpsters who are hardcore about masks.
Yeah,
so
but it's not even the Trump supporters, just people who have that anxiety and fear, but don't want to show that. So instead, they're like, I'm not wearing a mask, or like they act all tough about it.
I think it's just assholes.
We're all in this together.
Yeah,
it's
assholes.
And I mean, I'm not trying to attack Trump supporters, so to speak, but no, you can go ahead.
Trump 2020.
No,
But the problem is, like, a lot of assholes have their candidate in Trump. You know what I mean? Like, that's their guy, so it makes sense. He's an asshole, and assholes like him. So it shakes out that way.
Yeah, I think if you break it down, your life's definitely changed. But if you're going to take into effect, like, okay, I got to wear a mask basically just when I go to the store, or possibly to my job for certain amounts of
Or
time,
having sex.
and if that's affecting you so much where you're going to make a whole thing out of it, you're probably just a bitch or an asshole.
It's like really having that in front of your mouth, like
it's really not affecting me
You can't
that
go
much
on with
at
your day.
Yeah,
like you're a big fucking baby. I thought we were supposed to be the snowflakes.
Yeah.
You know,
especially if you're working from home, you probably have to wear it for 10 minutes a day when you go to the store or something.
Like you said, it's hilarious though about restaurants or going out and seeing comedy show where it's like, all right, put the mask on, but when you get to a table, take it off and then laugh and enjoy your life. Like you're right next to everyone anyway. You know what I mean?
Well, you're supposed to be 6 feet apart.
Well, yeah, it's
You're
supposed
really
to be socially
not, though.
distanced.
But
that's at the end of the day, say we're wearing the masks, and in the end we look back and the mask didn't do anything. What did we lose? Nothing.
Bad
we were
breath.
a little uncomfortable for a while.
Yeah, you probably saved some sickness spreading.
Well, they say
in
you can
general.
get sick wearing the mask too much, but you got to watch that shit. I know.
But
idiots who
but
don't
now
watch
here's
it.
the thing: like, say we don't wear the masks, and we find out that they would have helped. What did we lose in that sense?
Exactly.
A lot of people are going to die unnecessarily. So it's like easy option. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Wear-
if it's one
wear
or the
the
other,
mask.
I'll wear the mask and risk looking stupid for a little bit.
Wear a
If that's-
mask and wear condoms.
Yeah, if that's the worst that's going to happen.
Yeah,
It's like wearing a condom.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wear a mask and condoms, baby.
it
You'll be
definitely
on the hook
helps.
for 18 years.
Yeah, it can't really hurt. Like
Exactly.
So, I mean, as far as like news goes, I don't do that much current event stuff, but I feel like having you guys here, that's kind of in your ballpark.
Depending on what kind of events.
If you're talking hip hop and Tekashi 6ix9ine,
or comedy and
comedy probably me.
branding and business and stuff, we like that. But like, we don't really get into politics. It's funny, but I do find it interesting what Schultz talked about. Not to always bring Schultz up, but his shit hits so hard on his YouTube stuff. I don't know if you saw it, because he's moderate and he could diss a liberal and he could diss a conservative, and that's the perfect comedy. It's what Chappelle and Chris Rock did in the 90s, where Chris Rock has this comedy bit where he's like, prostitution, I'm liberal, and the other thing is like, crime, I'm conservative. And it's like, that is a great mentality to have, and that's comedy in its sense. And that's how I stand with politics. It's like, I see both sides, I make an opinion, but I'm never tying myself to one party.
Yeah, well, I like that. You don't get tied to one side, because then, if you criticize, you need to have the freedom to criticize whoever you feel
It's
is
great
doing
to
the wrong
diss everyone,
thing.
man. It's a great feeling.
But it's like
be.
people want to. I mean, I don't know if this even happens really in real life. Like, people want to paint you out to be something you're not.
No, exactly.
Like, people say, "Oh,
Racist,
because
this.
you criticize something a liberal did." Now they say, "Oh, well, you're a secret conservative. You're all right." Like, no, I just said the guy, what he did was fucked up.
Perfect example for you, Steve. I had a friend who's a conservative saying that Joe Rogan's a liberal, and then there was
he said he was a liberal,
and then Trump tweeted Joe Rogan about like something about Biden or whatever, and then my friend liked Joe Rogan, and then I had friends like, you can't win. You got liberals saying he's conservative. You got conservatives saying he's liberal. That's why it's a big joke and a laughing.
I would think that's
Anybody
a sign.
who's-
you're
I don't
doing
like
the right thing.
extremeness.
But
I don't like
even
extremeness.
Participating in that conversation, like, who cares and why?
Yeah, exactly.
He's obviously neither hardcore. I think if you lean one way if you super lean one way, I think that's probably not good. But like, he's pro gun, he's pro weed. Like, he's obviously not either. And I wouldn't. Why am I going to waste my time entering this conversation? I like him regardless. I don't care if he
Yeah,
votes
me
for
too.
Trump. I'm going to listen to him.
Can we like people without their political beliefs anymore? I don't know if we can. And I feel like
No.
you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Well, see, that's the thing, and I think that the way like the Twitter sphere operates is it makes you think that that's not a possibility, when in actuality most people in general,
Twitter's the worst, yeah.
they don't live and die by Twitter. So it's like
Or politics.
People do who have nothing going for their life, and they want
I
to cancel
c-
people.
Like, I
But
want
it's
to
like,
just like
they're afraid
yeah.
they're afraid to say what they want to say, because they think, oh, they're gonna come, they're gonna cancel me. But it's like, is that really happening to the average person? Like, no,
No, I
it's
think-
really not.
I think they hype it up, especially Twitter hypes everything up. It's
Yeah,
like,
because it's like 8% of the people make 80% of the noise.
I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
like the
Cancel
best
culture.
conversation you're gonna have is someone who's not too heavy either way. Like I was at a funeral yesterday, and my uncle is a hardcore Trumper, and my dad is so liberal, and I was like, oh my god, I want to freaking walk away from this conversation because I couldn't stand either. I'm just like, I don't really care. Like even the election, like I don't care, and like arguing that Rogan's a liberal or conservative, couldn't care less.
Yeah.
And he's neither. It's obvious. Listen to an episode.
You used to
where
be
he
a little.
loves gun.
You used to be pretty political back in the day.
I'm pretty liberal for the most part. So like my friends who like know me, I think I'm like a hardcore lib, and I am for the most part. But like when it comes to some finance stuff, like I'm conservative. Like I don't
Someone
care.
made that point too.
I don't live and die by either side.
like
You shouldn't.
financially conservative and like human rights liberal, whatever. But it's funny because
Common sense, really.
he'll yell Trump 2020 and stuff, and people will be like, I didn't know he liked Trump. And then like he'll put something
That's
up
the best
like
part.
against something else, and then we'll have people who are conservative unfollow and say we're too political when we're really not. I've had a friend unfollow and get upset over like a story post about like something that was like, I don't know.
That's their problem.
Well, there's something that like I've been trying to do lately. I've been at least been thinking about is be willing to lose followers. Like just say what you really mean. Say what be
Exactly.
you. And if you
My whole
are
thing.
liberal, then just be liberal and like own it. You know what I mean? If you're conservative, be conservative and own it.
Yeah.
And the people that really fuck with you are going to gravitate towards you.
It's the law of 10.
And some people just do it because it's like they want to either go against the grain or follow their friend or their family or whatever. It's like you're gonna catch a tweet from me where I shit on liberal and Joe Biden, and where I do it to Trump, and it's like I literally don't care.
I actually think this is interesting too, as you were saying about that. I know people who their parents are conservatives and they're like the kids are hardcore liberals because they're like have a rebellious attitude, so they go against their parents or they see what's wrong in their parents and the racism or something, so they're like fuck that, I'm this and that, and it's very interesting. That's a very popular thing I think it is in America.
That's kind of like the story of my life. I'm like the only liberal in my entire family.
Yeah.
Me and like one other person. You know, and the other person is kind of crazy, and it's like now I realize why people don't like liberals because I'm looking at you and you seem like an
That's
idiot.
what I'm saying.
But it's like
Yeah.
I don't do it to be rebellious. That's just how I feel.
Yeah.
And I feel like I mean, you mentioned the racism thing. Like that's always been a thing for me. Like people, like, I'm not a racist. I'm like, you serious? Like I just heard you use the N-word like 3 times.
Jesus.
Like you say you're not a racist?
It doesn't mean what you think.
I don't mean it like that. You know?
Yeah.
Also, the people who are going to vote for Trump because it'll help their pocket, but they are not even the slightest racist. Some of my good friends.
No,
they're
that's
not
also true.
They couldn't care less about anything.
We went on a bike ride in a nice area and there was a lot of Trump flags, and it's like I kind of get it because they already made the money, they're already successful, and they want to keep their earnings.
Well, that's
know what
just
I'm
like military members. Like
Survival
a lot of
the
them,
fittest.
they want to vote conservative because conservatives always are the ones that are giving the military raises. So like they're voting their interest, which I get. Like you can't be mad at them.
A
for
lot of
that.
people in the union they liked Hillary Clinton back in the day. I remember my friend who was
The
going
people
Clinton.
in the union,
Yeah, is that true?
like Hillary Clinton.
Liked Hillary Clinton back in the day. Is that true or false? She was going to do something for the union, so they're actually more liberal than you think.
Well, listen, I mean, the union always is pretty much going to vote for a Democrat no matter what because
That's what it was,
that's the way the operation works. It's like all the politicians come to the unions. They try to they get their support, and like because historically,
I find
mean,
that interesting.
but
Especially in
historically,
New
like
York.
the Democrats are usually the most labor friendly.
Yeah.
I mean, not when you look at like NAFTA, like with Clinton in
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
90s. Like that fucked a lot of unions.
I find
you know?
that interesting because my friend, blue collar worker, hardcore, you know how you sometimes it's kind of fucked up, but you paint people like, oh, they probably like Trump or they like Biden, but like you would think he's a Trump guy, but he likes voting for Democrats because of his career and union, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna get more out of this if I vote this way.
Well, that's me too, because I mean, the people that are looking to bust unions or enact right to work laws in different states, which pretty much just kind of hamstrings unions, like they can't get money the same way they would before. Like those are all conservatives and Republicans that are pushing that kind of policy. The problem is that you have unions where the organization, like the people in charge, are all courting all these Democratic politicians, but the membership that might be overwhelmingly Republican. So the president, the business manager, the business agent, they're all telling you, vote Democrat. They're out organizing labor walks for Democratic politicians. But the members, they fucking hate Democrats. It's weird. Because I think most guys in construction, they're like, blue collar guys, like, they like all that conservative stuff. Like, that's who they are.
Fuck the system. drain the
Not even
swamp.
fuck the system. It's more of just like fuck liberals, kind of. Like, they think liberals are pussies. Like, they hate. It's weird to me because it's like, I feel the hate. Like, people hate liberals. It's not that they necessarily have to always love Trump. They love the fact that he's the big fuck you
Exactly.
to the liberals.
People don't
You know what I
understand
mean?
that though. People think like, oh, I'm voting for Trump. That guy's racist. It could be like,
no, they probably think he's an asshole, but they love the fact that he's got his finger in the eye of everybody on the left. People that have always historically told, maybe low income workers, people that are blue collar guys who work with their hands. They've been told, for all this time that they mean less, that they're stupid, that they're.
It's funny because a lot of those guys make a lot of money.
Look, I'm a blue collar guy. Like I paid for a nice house, I got a nice studio
My
setup.
friend in a union makes a great living.
Yeah, you make a good living. You got good benefits. Like it's a great job.
I was
But
confused, pay your dues and all that. I'm confused by that concept. Not to cut you off, but like I have a friend who's like in and out of the union, has his own company now, and he's like, oh, I could go back whenever.
So if you pay your dues every year, sadly it always goes up, but
Right.
that's just basically your membership fee.
Gotcha.
So if you don't want to work in the union, you could keep paying your dues and just kind of shelve your membership.
And you can go back.
That's kinda
whenever.
cool.
As long as you're paying every month, they don't really give a shit.
That's
And
kind of cool.
If that flutters out, you can go back in and be full in.
And then he
Exactly.
works overtime
cool.
only sometimes.
It's kind of
like a
kind of
frat.
better for them because that's free money.
Yeah.
Like they don't have to worry about you going out and taking a job. You just pay your dues. They have that money.
And it's like
you
a
can-
safety
so you,
net.
so you kind of that's kind of crazy as a creator or a business owner. You could work for the union, then pay your dues, and then create your own business. So you make enough of your own business. Like, all right, I'm out of here.
Yeah, hypothetically, if I started making money off this and wanted to stop working, I could do that. I could just shelve my card, just keep paying that $400 and change
Comedians
every
need to get
year,
in
and
unions.
I'm good.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But it is funny though to me that most union guys that I've met aren't liberal. They're not Democrats, even though labor unions are the backbone of the Democratic Party. But for all this time, to them, what they see is that Democratic politicians have been courting everybody else. Like most unions, blue collar guys are like white guys without a college education.
Right.
And if you look, that's most of Trump's base.
Yeah.
So it's you
They
have.
say he plays to his base. He probably doesn't really like them. He would never like have a beer with them.
No, of course, because most of those guys, if they met Trump in real life, if he wasn't running for president or anything, they would see him in like the way he talks. Like this guy's a fucking asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Like they wouldn't like him. Like this guy's so full of himself. He's trying to bullshit me like I'm some idiot. But it's like if he's up there and if he's saying fuck you to the people that they already hate,
Yeah.
then he's okay.
It's
Then they'll defend him.
It's
to
actually
their dying
great.
breath.
It's actually great because like people don't understand it though. Like people might vote for Trump not because like people like who are liberal, like oh you're racist. It could just be the fact like fuck the man, fuck the system, like or it's like I don't like these people in office. They like he has good points. Like Nancy Pelosi does seem a little scammy with the hair thing, and she's been in office her whole life. What change are you making now? You've been doing it forever.
Yeah.
So I understand that the marketing. He's good at marketing. What he could do to like get a fan base.
Yeah, well,
And people
listen. He knows who to point that middle finger at.
Yeah.
I think it's as simple as that. I'm not, a political science major. I don't know
Neither
what the
am
fuck
I,
I'm
yeah.
talking about. But I mean, somebody like Nancy Pelosi, like all these these Democratic politicians that are just entrenched, have been there forever.
Career
Like most of
politicians.
them are funded by the same companies that fund Republican politicians.
Yeah, they're all phony.
But it's like when you're funding both sides, you basically get to pick your opposition. So
Exactly.
if they fund the least liberal like Democrats, the ones who aren't going to stand up to like big businesses and stuff, then it's like, okay, well, if they win, now the people, even if my Republican guy lost, they're not going to fuck me because I already been lining their pockets
Yeah.
for 10 years.
And the one thing that was in the quarantine when those people in Congress or wherever, the Republicans and Democrats, they took money out before they knew that the coronavirus was coming. They're all phony.
Yeah.
Anyone else would go and be in jail for years.
And what
They don't
happened?
go to jail.
Nothing.
That's politics.
the
That's
biggest
why I
bullshit. It's all
It's a
phony.
yeah,
That's
it's
why I
a
don't
dirty-
even care.
Yeah,
That's
same
a
here.
dirty
I
game.
prefer
Same here.
fuck the system over fuck one party.
But here's the thing, though.
It's all
Like,
garbage.
it's easy for us to say we don't care, but it still affects us.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I
Yeah.
get it still affects. It'll affect me here and there, but I mean, it's just so disgusting and slimy, and what you were just saying,
100%.
and money driven. It's all money driven.
I
So
think
it's
so,
like
yeah.
I don't even get by on a lot of money. So like until I'm like a huge success or whatever, and the presidency affects me that much more, you're gonna get scammed either way. There's downfalls to both sides. So that's why I hate it. And like I'm a liberal guy, especially for like social stuff, but like. It's just like, and when listening to people argue Trump Biden, I'm just like, oh God, I don't like either. I couldn't care less.
And also, I was going to ask, would you think this is interesting? Slimy content creators, people who book on Trump, who might not even know anything about politics. For right now, like, we could do a parody podcast and act like we're like really hardcore Trump supporters. We'd get like millions of views because people love that like Trump personality. Or even say if you were like pretend to be like a hardcore super liberal and you were like defund the police, defund this, and you get like all these views as a personality, but deep down you're not even political. People use that to their own advantage to
Yeah,
make money doing
But
content.
I feel like that's so easy to see through. I feel like even
Sometimes
like
not.
the average dummy would like listen for 5 minutes. Like this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about
Mm-hmm.
because there's nothing that drives me crazier than listening to a podcast and hearing somebody talk about something that I know something about,
Oh, yeah.
and they're just making an ass of themselves.
Oh,
They're
I was
just
doing
talk-
that the other day
Or
with
video
the,
content.
with a
I
show.
hate that.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because
When you're sitting there yelling at the fucking stereo, it's like, no, that's wrong, you asshole.
Literally 2 days ago, that was happening to me for a podcast that's pretty big. I was watching to their YouTube video. I was just like, you guys are getting this all wrong, and I actually know it's a fact.
I was thinking about doing a social experiment, doing something like that. It's always funny,
Yeah.
you know, like people because like you see the people have been exposed where they act like they're like hardcore Trumpers. Even a comedian does it, but it's a joke and people don't realize it. Where he parodies about Trump and he's like big from it. You could you get so much momentum off of like using a political party.
But that kind of goes back to like being able to understand the algorithm, what stuff hits,
Yeah, definitely.
what stuff catches on.
And I think what Steve said, if you have a brain, you could realize that they're kidding. Like literally, like the History Hyenas is they literally have made their fan base off of that. They like completely as a parody joke, and and if you're a fan or listener, you know it's a joke. They yell
Let me
out
tell you
Trump
something,
20
baby. Adolf Hitler is wild.
Oh, you listen?
A little bit,
Dude,
no.
it's they're the funniest guys ever, and they're obviously both liberal. Giannis is so liberal, it's annoying. They yell Trump 2020. They just say the most Republican, some racial stuff, and it's so funny. But their fan base knows they're fucking around.
Yeah, but
Funny's funny with comedy.
that kind of drives me crazy when someone who is like, like they're really like a liberal, you know the kind of stuff they believe in, when they play up the fact that like the idea that they might believe in shit on the other side just to get a rise out of
I do
people.
that. I do that a lot.
I know, but that kind of
It's
drives me
so
nuts,
funny.
man. It's like, that's not you, man.
It's just
It is them. They're like kind of in a way just fucking with people.
But
you know what
yeah, I
Comedy.
mean, I guess it works if
I think Chris
who
is
you
the best at it.
Who you are is like a contrarian, where even if you believe one thing, like your first instinct is to try to go against that, just to not do what people expect.
And the
of you.
fact of the matter is that you think like guys like Chris and Giannis may be doing it so much as a joke to get so people think they're actually liberal because they're parodying it so much, but some people actually think they actually might, without saying anything, do vote right. But and then Chris will come out and said it's like I voted liberal every election in my life. It's just like funny to me. You're still gonna get some of those lingering fans who are probably like, maybe this is all just a joke and they actually do vote right without knowing it, and they'll come listen.
Also, I was gonna say when you do a podcast, you're more your authentic self, but in a way. But say if we do like a bro talk or some type of other comedy, or I interview a porn star, you could like hype up your personality or be like another thing. Like look at Borat, look at Ali G. It's like stuff that could get views, and you're funny with being a comedian or a different personality could hit. But then when you do a podcast, you keep it real and you be your authentic self. But people might come for the different characters that you play. And that's what
true.
comedians do, you know.
But that all goes back to just figuring out what people like what
Yeah.
people like you for, at least. Like people might like, sports talk, but they might not like to hear you guys talk about it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or it's like people like to hear nerd stuff, but maybe I'm not the guy to talk about that.
Right.
So it goes back to finding your niche, finding that deep pocket so you can get in there and build a fan base.
I think that's a real estate podcast, Deep Pockets.
What's that?
I think that was the name of a podcast.
Deep
I
pockets?
think so.
Good name.
But what's interesting,
That would seem like a money podcast, right?
what chaps my ass, I know I say that sometimes, is
You know what
like,
really grinds my gears?
you could be a talented
heard
comedian
of
with no
Chap-
following. I always say this in a
Quit
way.
touching that thing.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry,
Mike,
my
you
bad.
dumb fuck.
You could be a talented comedian, my comedian with no following, but really funny, or you could be some schmuck who talks about hip hop or sports and has just a huge fan base, and you have that niche, and you just make so much money doing it, you become an entity in business.
Well, I heard this quote that the best way to make a bad product fail is through good marketing. It's like,
Yeah.
so if
I
you
think you
actually
told me this before.
if you actually suck and you're marketing yourself, putting yourself out there, it's like more people are seeing that you suck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I
it's
don't know
like,
if I believe it anymore in 2020 because
Well,
there's so much shit out there that's trash.
but that's the thing. Like one man's trash is another man's treasure, right?
That's the thing.
Exactly.
It's all subjective. Like
yeah, everything is subjective.
Yeah, I was like,
Talent is subjective.
It's more or less
It's crazy.
It's like Tekashi 6ix9ine. Like you're not listening for his music. You're trying to see if he's gonna get captured or beat up, or like it's like an accident. We
Yeah,
all
well, it's
stopped
like-
in traffic.
it's
to
like
see that
creating a
accident.
villain.
Yeah, we all
like-
stop when that accident's happening to
Yeah.
check it out.
We
and
all want to
keep it
see the
moving.
train crash.
We don't actually care about
Floyd
the concept
Mayweather.
of music.
He's not the most entertaining fighter, but we want to watch to see if he gets knocked the fuck out.
yeah, hopefully.
We love seeing a shit talker get knocked out.
Yeah.
Like what? Ben Askren in MMA
Yeah.
and UFC. It was only 8 seconds, but it was
Yeah.
still like amazing. Like
Did you
that
watch
guy-
last night?
No, I don't even watch. I only know from fucking listening to Rogan.
Also,
Yeah,
shout out
ask
Mickey
him.
Gall.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Shout out to Mickey Gall.
It is crazy how
Yeah,
everyone.
by the way, you guys gave me a shirt. I
Oh,
wanna
hell
say.
yeah.
Thank you. This is my first, second podcast piece of clothing.
Hit us up, although we're almost out. But yeah.
There you go.
Is this
I'm sure the guys on YouTube right now are love.
this the
seeing
big guy
this.
from Game of Thrones? This poster.
No. That's
That's Ghostbusters.
that's
Forgot
Vigo
he has a
the
bad
Carpathian.
memory. We went
He's
over
from
this the first
Ghostbusters?
Ghostbusters too. He's
Oh, you're right. Ghostbusters. No, I was at my friend's house and she has this, but she got it as a wedding gift, and the guy put his face on it. It was actually pretty funny.
he is Vigo, Scourge of Moldavia.
Really terrifying.
Or is it
looking.
the Scourge of Carpathia? Sorrow of Moldavia?
I never saw the second one.
He was a very powerful magician. But, I got that just because I always wanted that in my house. When I bought my old house,
Yeah.
I had the second bedroom upstairs. I wanted to create like a secret door.
Right.
And just get like a giant painting like this, the size of a door,
Right.
and make it slide so it would be like a secret room.
Ooh, that's sick.
And I never did it because I spent too much money. So I couldn't do it. But my wife got me this as a gift.
That's cool.
She got me this and the other one above Mike, the painting, the guy and the two dogs. You know what that is?
No.
Yeah, I like this painting. One dog's looking
Yeah,
this way,
Goodfellas.
one dog's looking that way.
Goodfellas.
This guy's saying,
Oh,
"What do you want from
Goodfellas?
me?" That was the painting that Joe Pesci's mom
Hey,
made.
that looks like somebody.
Yeah, hey, look at somebody we know. It's amazing how few
Looks like
people
George
actually
Carlin.
get it.
I actually, what's so weird, I was like, I know this painting from somewhere. I was watching Goodfellas, and I remember our first time when we were on here that you talked about your paintings that Tom Zappia forgot about because he has bad memory, but nothing against Tom
I
Zappia.
don't remember the dog one, but I knew this. I just knew this was from something popular. But I never saw Ghostbusters 2. I like the first one.
I only like it because of the character, the guy Janusz, and it was played by the actor Peter McNichol. But he
No,
was
yeah.
like the curator at the museum where
Yeah,
this
yeah.
painting was, and he gets possessed by the painting,
Ah.
and he has the best accent, and I just love. Me and my buddy AJ we always quote it. He is Vigo.
Yeah.
So-
So many movies.
I think we're good, bro. We're already at like an hour 15. Like we don't
Hell
have to
yeah.
go any further because I really have to piss.
You've been drinking a lot of coffee.
Do that.
I know that's my second cup today. What do you guys have to plug?
Check out our YouTube now that we're gonna be putting a lot more stuff out on YouTube. Yeah, obviously the podcast is everywhere. I don't know when the next time I'm doing stand up, Mike. If you want anything you want out there, Keep a Basement pretty much
Shut
everywhere.
up, flashlight.
Yeah.
There you go. We do so much. It's so weird. It's like to plug. We just plug our Keep It Basement. Everything we do there.
Definitely just keep an eye out for better edited videos on our YouTube channel. Look out for those.
Social
and there'll still
media
be consistent
promo.
stuff on Instagram.
Fucking
yeah.
making Instagram like the IGTV videos is such a pain in the ass because the dimensions they give you for the size of it are all
dude.
actually wrong.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have to make it smaller. Than
Dude,
what
my
what they really say
IGTV
it is.
thumbnails, I
That's
have to
why they say
resize
turn
them
your
every
phone
single time. Yeah.
It's a pain in the dick, man.
Yeah.
So,
But thanks for having us, dude. Appreciate it.
hey, my pleasure, man. Thanks for coming. It's nice to actually have people in the studio again.
I figured you've been doing a lot of Zooms. Us too. And we haven't even put out in a while, but probably the last 3 or 4 episodes we did were all Zoom.
It sucks.
People don't realize like the stuff you're talking about, the IGTV. It's like a whole nother ball game. Like you do the podcast, you do everything audio wise, and you come back out and do all this other content.
Oh, dude, I've been fighting with it before you got here. Like, because I have the new logo and everything, so I'm
Yeah.
trying to change all like the pictures on YouTube and SoundCloud and
Oh,
Instagram,
it's-
and change it. Now you have to change the header, make sure it's the right size, and now YouTube won't let me change the header for some reason. It's some kind of error.
I've been trying to change a YouTube header for months, and I still can't even get it to
Oh
work.
my god, dude, it's
Yeah.
driving me crazy. But yeah, the struggle's real. Anybody else out there, who has their own show or any kind of content, you guys know it fucking is a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So again, thank you guys.
Thanks, buddy.
Make sure you guys listen to Keep It Basement. It's available everywhere you get your podcasts, and make sure you listen to A Pod Amongst Men. If you're hearing this, you already are, but spread the word. So you find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcasts. We are there. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. That helps a lot, and give us a rating if you can. And if you have any long-form questions or inquiries, you can hit me up at podamongstmen@gmail.com. And that's it, guys. See you next week. Peace.